Welcome back, everybody, to our intermediate and advanced Civil 3D training series. In the past number of videos, we've created alignments, we've created our profiles and our design ground, we've created our knuckles and our cul-de-sacs, and we did the corridor targeting for them, and we created a corridor as the basis start of our subdivision. Now, this next video, we're going to look at creating intersections for our corridor, and we're going to essentially make 3 more corridors in order to portray our intersections. If it's a small enough site, I would feel comfortable putting the intersection itself inside of our pre-existing corridor. However, we're going to have 3 intersections here that we are building, and each intersection comes along with something like 8 alignments and a whole bunch of different pieces. It has 4 or 5 different baselines already pre-set up in it, depending on the complexity of the intersection. And if we were to add 15 or so baselines to our corridor window here, it would become quite complicated. Although Civil 3D probably could still handle it. It's just, I like to separate things just to keep them separate and keep my drawing a little less laggy. So we're going to start in the bottom left here with our first intersection, our west intersection, and it's not under the corridors drop down, but if we create intersection, or if you look in the ribbon, the intersection command right here. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to select my intersection point. It asks me, Civil 3D asked me where my intersection is. Now the north-south alignment is 100% trimmed off at the east-west alignment. It is snapped right to it. If we have a 4-way intersection, obviously this the alignments would overlap each other, and Civil 3D would then know to create a 4-way intersection instead of the T intersection that we are making here. So I'm going to say that my intersection is going to be located right at this spot, and Civil 3D will look at the 2 alignments that you have clicked next and allow you to create an intersection there. So we are going to call this West 64th intersection. My intersection marker style, I'll leave it as is. The layer, I'll leave it as is. The label, as is. And now we get a choice of what road, how do we want this handled? Do we want the primary road crown maintained? So do we want to keep the cross section of our primary collector? Or do we want to go all crowns maintained, where the primary collector would have a crown and the residential road would again create a crown out into the primary collector? With this one, however, if we chose this one, we would make a speed bump in the right-hand lane. A 2% up speed bump from the residential road. So my primary crown, road crown, is going to be maintained. I'm going to click next. And Civil 3D then asks me a couple things. Again, naming your items and paying attention is going to be of utmost importance here. So my alignment, 64th Avenue Extension. The profile I wanted to use is 64th Avenue Extension Design. My second alignment, my priority number 2 alignment, is Taradale Way at Station 0. It also tells you the stations they intersect at, so 198 and then Station 0 with Taradale Way Design. The next options we have are for offset parameters and curb return parameters. I'm going to quickly pause the video and go and figure those out. All right, so my 2 offsets are basically the offset from the center line of the road to the edge of the asphalt. Now on my residential road, the one that goes north-south, that's relatively simple at 4.25 meters. For the primary collector, however, we need to take a look at the design guidelines, and the offset from the center line to the edge of asphalt is 9.45 meters. So we can come into the offset parameters, and we need to again pay attention to what we're typing in and what we're clicking on here. The offset value for my primary road is 9.45. And the secondary road is 4.25. Now we could, if we had existing alignments already made, so say we made these offset alignments already, we could specify to use them. If not, Civil 3D will make their own, will make the alignments for us and handle the profiles for us. So I'm going to type in 9.45 for the primary offset, 4.25 for the secondary, and hit OK. The next piece of information we need to know is the curve return parameters. So what is the radius of the curve? Now again, these will be handled by your city or your jurisdiction. We have quite a large table here for the curve return radiuses, and it all depends on a whole bunch of information. So is there bike lanes? Is there no bike lanes? What is the departing street? What is the entering street, receiving street? So if we are departing from a primary collector with no parking or primary collector with parking, there's primary collector street to a residential street, we have to look at the table up above, RN. So if something would be this configuration, we can have a 9-meter radius. And the same would be from a residential street with no bike lane to a primary collector street would be RN would be a radius of 9 meters as well. So we have a whole bunch of different options, a whole bunch of different radiuses for when we're making our corners. We are just going to stick with the plain old 9-meter radius. Now inside this dialog box, we see that there's only one radius here to set up. There's not two options because we have to click the next button. So we see the little glyph on here. We have the 3 arrows, the one street to the other street. So it's going to create a curve from here around the corner. If we click next, it's going to create a curve return from the north to the west. And this is also 9 meters. So we have to ensure to fill out both radius tabs. I'm going to click OK. I'm not going to worry about the lane slope or the curb return profile parameters. I'm just going to let Civil 3D handle it, and I'll click next. Now is where we tell Civil 3D if we want it to create a new corridor or we can add it to our existing one. So I could add it to my existing one. However, I want to create a brand new one. And if we have any surfaces to daylight, it will automatically daylight it for us. But the most important part of this now is filling out this dialog box. And this really helps with our naming if we've named our things correctly, because we can see a little image down here of what needs to be built. So this will be my curb return fillet right with the lane on the left. My primary road full section will be my primary collector with a median. Now we see that we've done curb and gutter on the left, curb and gutter on the right, so we can go primary collector, no median, curb and gutter on the left, and then we go primary collector, no median, curb and gutter on the right. My secondary road section will be my residential street. And then we have residential street, curb and gutter on left, and residential street, curb and gutter on right. Now, once we have this set, chances are we are going to have to modify which assemblies are being used. Civil 3D might not target things properly. There's going to be a little bit of work we have to do after we make the intersection itself. But instead of filling this out again, there's a save as a set button. So if I click save as a set, I can name this primary collector to residential street. So I can set these up and save this as a set that I can quickly load next time I come in here. And I don't have to go and set these options up again. Now this is just assuming that these options that I've already set up are correct, and we're going to find out here in a second. So once we have all that set up, I'm just going to double check it. Primary collector with the median, no curb and gutter on the left, no curb and gutter, curb and gutter on the left, curb and gutter on the right. My residential street, curb and gutter on left, residential street, curb and gutter on right. And I think I'm happy with that, but again, if it's wrong, we can always fix it. I'm going to click create an intersection and give Civil 3D a minute. All right, Civil 3D has created my intersection. Now, it looks like I did select mostly the right pieces. It has done some targeting correctly. Thankfully, they have fixed some of the targeting related issues, previous versions of Civil 3D, and even a video I did 2.5 or 3 months ago about a 3 and 4 center curve in your corridor. Civil 3D used to stretch the sidewalk all the way to the other side of your design. So the sidewalk would stretch up to this alignment and target this alignment. Now, the targeting is mostly correct because what I did was I used the road cross sections, but we have additional lanes built in there. And Civil 3D is trying to target this primary collector out to the edge of the road. So this is easy enough to fix. I can select this the intersection, right click and go to corridor properties. And we see here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 baselines. And if I click on them, we see that one is specifically related to the northeast quadrant, one's related to this northwest quadrant, this one's related to 64th Avenue Extension, and then this one here specifically is Taradale Way. So the one I want to change is the 64th Avenue Extension. And if I click on the targets, there are 3 median, no median, back to median. We'll have to adjust these here in a moment and possibly add some more in as well. So I'm going to look at the targets. So I'm going to select the first one in the list, which is this one here, and I'm going to click the target button. And I'm going to see what Civil 3D has set up in the way of targets. So if I click on I need to make this a little bit bigger. Left bike lane, it doesn't look like anything is set for that. My outside lane, so it looks like it took the left inside lane and stretch the left inside lane out. So it's targeting based on that left inside lane, not the edge of the bike lane. So I can go ahead and click on these, and I'm trying to adjust the dialog box so we can actually see what's going on. And I can turn these off. So I don't want this to target either of those, I believe. And I don't want these to target that as well either. So if I click OK and I hit apply and rebuild, we should see this suck itself in. Might have to click OK. And we see that it has done that on the left-hand side here, but not necessarily the right-hand side. So back to corridor properties. And I would have to do the right lane as well. Come in here and turn the right lanes off and turn the right elevation target off. I'm going to go into the second option. I'm going to leave the left side alone because the left is built where I want it to, but the right side I'm going to shut off that targeting. Now we could have built our assemblies with one lane only, and Civil 3D would have stretched that one lane and everything would have been fine. However, I prefer to try and make this as accurate as I possibly can and have the lanes carrying through. So I'm now on the third piece here, and I've gone into the targets of the third piece. And my left lane, I'm going to shut off the elevation targets and the width targets. And then the right lane, I'm also going to shut off the elevation target and the width target. I'll hit OK. I'll hit OK. I'll hit rebuild. And we see that Civil 3D has sucked those edges in. Our edge of the road now matches up. Our curb and gutter matches up. We however, haven't joined these two roads together yet. We'll do that here in a second. One thing that we also do notice is we are trying to join a straight face curb to a rolled curb. And this will take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of messing about on our own in order to get those to match properly, because our offsets are different here than our offsets are different here. So you would need to probably go a step further and create some polylines or some feature lines to target. However, that's not going to be in this video. So I'm going to start by clicking on our intersection here, and we see that the intersection stops building right here. Now, if I click on this road, we see that this road, they overlap a little bit. So all I'm going to do is grab the grip and drag it very slowly to the end point, if I can, of where that corridor is building to. I don't want the corridors overlapping. I want them completely separate. So now if I select both of these, they both start, they start and or stop at the same location. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Grab this grip and just put it at the end point. And then I'm also going to grab this grip and put it at the end point. So it almost looks like we have one completed intersection. Now, in order to view this, we don't have a surface made for the intersection yet, so I'm going to create a surface going through corridor properties. Under surfaces, I'm going to add my top links. So I created a new definition, and I'm going to add the top links, and I'm going to call this the West. What did I name the corridor? West 64th? I didn't name that corridor. So West 64th intersection. And then under the information tab, West 64th intersection. And we'll hit OK. And what I'm going to do is freeze my two surfaces off. I don't want to see them currently on the drawing because I'm going to create another surface called Complete Design. Because we're building this with multiple corridors, we want to create a master surface that we can paste everything into. So under the Complete Design surface, the definition, I'm going to right click on Edits and select Paste Surface. I'm going to select my Taradale Subdivision top and hit OK. And then I am going to paste in the surface called West 64th intersection and hit OK. Now, when I object viewer this, we're going to see a little problem here. Actually, we're going to see a couple problems. So, because I built the intersection, what Civil 3D does, and I'll show you in the profile views, is it ties these two roads together in the profile view. So it has physically moved the one profile, which then affects my knuckle. And also we can see that we have an issue here between the two travel lanes. That is because of where my road center lines are located. So to show you the profile, first of all, we are going to go to my Taradale Way profile because that is my secondary road. And if I click on it, we see on the profile view two locks. Now you never want to unlock your profile views. You never want to click the profiles and unlock these because then they will no longer be connected. Where we had something like a 1.3% grade before, we now have -2 and 1.68, which also makes my knuckle incorrect. So again, as per a previous video, we can go to corridor properties. Under the parameters tab, turn off that west knuckle, rebuild it, give Civil 3D a moment or two here to finish updating. And then we can look at our west knuckle edge of asphalt, and we can ensure that these are tied in. So anytime we change our road center line, we want to come in here and we want to confirm that these are tied together. They match each other. We have a 1.68 grade coming down and a 2.08 going up. So I'm going to attempt to match those the best I can. So 1.68 and 2.08 will be somewhere up in this location. I'm not doing it 100% perfect, but you want to get those as close to the previous grades as you can. Now if I come in and turn the corridor properties and turn that west knuckle back on and hit OK, and rebuild, and then I rebuild the complete design, we now see that that is nice and smooth again. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this video. So in this video, we created an intersection for our roads. We tied them together. We looked at the profile locks. We also adjusted the knuckle that was affected by locking the roads together. In the next video, we're going to take a look at specifically what's wrong with this intersection and how to make the elevations match together. And we're going to create the other two intersections.